The movie begins in an area called Charlestown in Boston, where there was a group of 4 people who are considered to be high-profile thieves. They are Doug, James, Glonsey, and Desmond, who plan to rob a bank, where they order everyone to stay where they are and force the bank manager Claire to open the safe. She had no other choice but to open the safe. The entire money was immediately put into the bags. Surveillance camera footage was also burned. James hit the assistant manager for being uncooperative. Claire accidentally saw a tattoo on the back of James' neck, and they then took Claire hostage to escape. After they had come far enough, they let her go. Later, FBI agents Adam and Chief of Police Dino examined the crime scene. The robbery took place quickly. Claire, who was still in a state of shock, was questioned. On the other hand, thieves gathered in an abandoned hockey stadium. James shows Claire's ID card, which he took from her, and discovers that she lives near their homes. To find out what she reported to the police, Doug decides to spy on her. They used the money to run drugs and laundered money through a flower shop owner named Fergie. The next morning, Doug starts stalking Claire, who has gone to the laundromat. When he pretends to be reading the newspaper, Claire unexpectedly comes to ask for some change because the washing machine is out of order. At the same time, she remembered the assistant director after seeing the blood splattered on her clothes. Doug calms her down, and then he invites her to the coffee shop. Later, she asked him if he knew about the rumors about Charlestown and that this place is a den of thieves. He replied that this is nothing but a baseless rumor. The next day, James and Doug meet. James asks him about the results of his conversation with Claire and if she knows anything. In the next scene, Doug asks Claire out on a date. During the appointment, she told him about the theft that had taken place. She also told him that she saw the thief's tattoo while he was beating the assistant. But she didn't tell the FBI, out of fear. At the same time, the FBI managed to obtain information on the suspects, namely James, Glonsey, and Doug, along with Desmond. They find out that Doug had an ex-girlfriend named Krista, and had a father named Steven who was in prison for kidnapping, robbery, and murder. On the other hand, Doug had a date with Claire, and when she went to the toilet, James suddenly appeared. Doug panicked and told him to leave, but Claire came back and reunited with him. When they return home, they have a fight because James doesn't like his relationship with Claire. Later, Doug goes to prison to visit his father. He asked him why he did not search for his mother. He replied that there was no reason for him to search for a woman who deliberately left her family. The next morning, Doug and the others pull off another robbery. They targeted an armored car transporting money. Using a nun's outfit as a disguise, they managed to stop the car. The moment they collected all the loot, one of the guards managed to take Doug hostage and threatened to blow his head off if they didn't leave the money, but without any hesitation, James shot the guard on the spot. The theft was reported, and it didn't take long before some police cars surrounded them. James shoots the police and they move to another car. They set fire to the car they were using. They managed to escape before the police cars showed up. In the next scene, Adam and Dino summon the 4 of them for questioning. Although Adam was absolutely certain that Doug and his friends were the thieves, due to the lack of any evidence, they were all released in the end. The next day, Doug meets Claire, where she resigned from her job and decided to work voluntarily. On hearing this, he invited her to go immediately with him wherever she wanted. After returning to her home, Adam stops by to show Claire the files of the 4 suspected shoplifters. Adam knew Claire was having an affair with Doug, and that could be a problem for her. On the other hand, James tells Doug that he has another big assignment from the flower shop owner. But Doug repented and wanted to live in peace with Claire. He refused the offer, realizing that it would put their lives in danger. But James did not accept his refusal simply and left his friends, and they ended up fighting. After the fight, James told him that the reason he killed the teenager at the time was that the teenager planned to shoot him, and to save him led to his imprisonment for 9 years. Doug said that he really appreciates everything he did for him, including his family who took care of Doug when his father was imprisoned, but he had to leave his current life for a better one. Doug goes to the flower shop to meet Fergie to tell him about his refusal to go on the next mission. He offers him money, but Fergie forces Doug to do the job. Fergie ended up threatening to kill Claire if he didn't obey his orders. It is also revealed to him about what really happened to his mother. Doug's dad used to work with Fergie, too. Once he refused to do the task assigned to him, and to give him a lesson, he injected his father with a chemical liquid. Since that incident, Doug's mother suffered from depression and later ended her life. Hearing this, Doug was shocked, as he was looking for his mother who he didn't know was dead. he decided to leave. He was worried about Claire's condition, so he immediately came to her house. He found Claire nervous after she learned he was a wanted thief. He tried to apologize and explain everything, but she kicked him out of the house. He decided to go to the flower shop and take part in the mission, but he threatens to kill Ferdy if anything happens to Claire. Ferdy then gathers the four of them and explains that this time their goal is to steal the money that armored cars will take from a stadium with a total value of $3 million. Meanwhile, Adam and Dino are watching the flower shop from afar. Adam then runs into Doug's ex-girlfriend Krista at a bar, and he asks her for information about him and his friends. The mission finally begins. James and Doug are disguised as police officers, while Glomsy and Desmond are dressed as doctors so they are not easily spotted. After walking down the hallway, Desmond turned off the security cameras. To fool the security officers inside the stadium, Doug and James pretend to be police officers. They acted as if the officers were the thieves and immediately handcuffed them. After they managed to immobilize the security guards, they immediately threatened the officers inside the security room. Out of fear, they decide to let Doug and James take all the money from there. They quietly walked downstairs to meet Desmond and Glomsy. Doug felt bad because the place was completely empty without any guards. It turns out that they were actually surrounded by the police. It is revealed that Adam managed to extract some information about Doug's next robbery target from Krista. A firefight took place between them and the officers. Desmond is killed. Glomsy planned to leave through the front door to distract the police, while Doug and James were asked to escape, disguised as a police officer. Glomsy knew he would surely die, but he would do it in order to save his two friends. Meanwhile, Doug and James change clothes. James left with a bag of money, while Doug mingled with the police. On the other hand, after Adam learned that the stadium security officers were attacked by two policemen, Adam was able to find James, who was trying to escape. He ordered the officers to surround him. James shoots at the police, but is wounded. Doug immediately took one of the police cars to the flower shop. Once there, he kills Rusty and Ferdy because they were the cause of his friends' deaths. Then he takes all his savings and calls Claire to ask her to meet him, but it turns out that Adam, Dino, and several other cops were already there because they knew he was going to call her. Doug thought so he watched them from afar and pretended to be coming to Claire's house. Before hanging up the phone, he apologized to her for all his actions. Then she gave him a hint about the presence of the police in her house using a phrase. While Doug disguises himself as a postman, he walked past several police officers without anyone suspecting him. Then he buried the bag full of money in Claire's backyard. He finally manages to escape using the train, while Claire, who was working in the orchard, finally finds the suitcase that Doug buried. Inside the bag was a message. He moved away from Charlestown to start a new life and hopes to one day meet Claire again. At the end of the movie, Claire donates the money to Doug's mom's memory, and she fixes the hockey rink where Doug used to practice. Meanwhile, Doug lived in a remote house in Florida. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for a never-ending stream of movie magic. I will see you in the next one.